Okay, everybody, this is Dr. John McAtamney. This is our weekly Band of Brothers here on Long Island. We have a very special speaker tonight, Dr. Mike Sredniawski. Mike is a Thompson teacher, and we're going to have him as part of our group. We have a weekend seminar going on with the council on the June 21st, 22nd, where we're going to have Mike Sredniawski doing Thompson, Stacy Aslan doing Gonstead, and we're going to have John Crescione doing SOT. So spread the word, let everybody know about it. The flyers will be going out soon as we get that finished up. But that's going to be a really good thing that we're doing with the council. Mike is the district president for Suffolk, and he's got a really, really cool story. He's a speaker at DE, and he's friends with a lot of the guys that are DE. So, Mike, I'm going to give the floor to you. Go ahead, take over, share your story, and I'll watch the participants list.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, good evening. It's still in afternoon mode. What's up, Gary? Thanks for having me talk, John. I appreciate it. It's an honor because anytime I feel like I can help any other fellow chiropractor with anything, I've made plenty of mistakes in the past, and some of you guys on here know me pretty well and know that it hasn't been a quite a smooth road these past 30 years. It's 30 years now. Graduated life in 1995, and so it's now I have an interesting story. So now I get to talk because it's been so many problems in the past, and now I got out of that mess. So isn't that great? So I can tell you what not to do in practice. How about that? But actually now I can tell you, I feel like I have confidence to tell you what you can do in practice. And it's taken me a long time to get to that point, but I feel like, at this point, this is the best I've ever had in my career, 30 years in, and I'm breaking records every week. Currently this year, we hit the highest numbers we've ever seen. Collections have been the best ever. So and I think about what my biggest thing is, why was I such a slacker, or why did it take me so many years? I'd say a good 26 years to just really kick my own ass and get it into gear and really start building my practice. I don't know if I have the answer, but I have my answer. And hopefully, here's the thing. Whenever I hear a guest speaker, or if I hear somebody at DE, I always think to myself, what makes me, what turns my chiropractic juices on? What am I getting jazzed up about with this particular speaker? And I feel like what I'm always looking for whenever somebody gets on the stage or somebody gets in front of a group is I'm either looking for that pearl of wisdom, or the aha moment, oh man, that sounds so good. That thing that they say, I think Michael Halloran said it one time, and I think it even got up from BJ Palmer, success leaves clues, these things stick out in my mind. And I feel like, the aha moment, or even at DE, this last DE a couple of weeks ago, this guy, Dr. Oase, he's a DE speaker. He did a DEU, which is a CEU credit. I do the Thompson DEU in the morning from 8 to 9, and everybody's still having breakfast. And he did one, and it was all nuts and bolts about these are things you should be doing in your practice if you want to have a successful practice. So I like the nuts and bolts things too. So I figured, you know what? Hey, while I have a few minutes here to talk with you guys, I'll share what I think would be either some pearls of wisdom that hopefully you find them wise. I think they're wise because I got gray hair. So, but pearls of wisdom, or anything that might inspire you, because I love being inspired as a chiropractor, and I love hearing success stories, and or some nuts and bolts stuff. So the first thing I think of is the biggest. Somebody asked me this the other day. This guy Josh, he called me. He's a chiropractor in Michigan, and we were talking, and he just said, he goes to me, he goes, "Yo, dude," he goes, "What?" He's a younger guy, and he's trying to find his trying to find that groove, He goes, "What do you think was the turning point for you?" Because I was going basically from zero to hero. That's my little funny tagline. But what I mean by that is that I feel like now I can pay my bills. Now I can pay down some debt. Now I don't have to worry as much as I used to. I used to be worried in the past about a lot of things, and worried, can I pay the rent? And financial stress is a killer. It's a killer for your practice. It's a killer for relationships. It's a killer for your relationship with your patients. It's a killer. It's a silent killer. The financial stress is like the biggest subluxation I know. But he goes, what do you think was like the turning point and I didn't really have an answer for him. Cause I'm like, I don't know, dude. I don't know what it was, but now I thought about it, and something happened at this past DE that I was talking with Brian Lieberman. Brian Lieberman is a friend of mine from Life University. He's a chiropractor that he graduated in 97. I graduated in 95. So he considered me one of his mentors in Thompson technique because I taught him technique. And now I consider him one of my mentors in practice because he's running the type of practice that I've always aspired to have and that now I've built. So it's always good to have a mentor. So number one is have a mentor. So I realized, hey, Josh, what did I do? I got a mentor, somebody who I feel like he's not being paid for it. It's a friend. He's a brother in chiropractic, and you can get a brother or a sister, but that's the whole purpose of this meeting is we band together so we can help each other. We're not getting paid for this. We're just trying to help each other along in this ride. Somebody who has a sincere interest in seeing you succeed. And if they practice the way that you want to practice. Initially, and Gary knows this, initially it was Chris Hansen. He was a mentor to me. And I'm very grateful to Chris. He's down in West Babylon. And, when I first went to his office, I said, holy crap, I can't believe there's a guy practicing on Long Island that I know, because I didn't know a lot of you guys then. But there's a guy practicing here that practices like how I want to practice. This is success, man. And this is great. I got to be friends with this guy. And I had no idea that he was even doing that. So getting a mentor in chiropractic is number one. Number two, I feel like what's really helped me is I used to have this mentality when I went to meetings like DE back in 1994, 1995, 96, 97, a couple of years out of practice. It was that feeling of like, there's the speaker and there's me, right? There's the speaker. Here's me. I'm this low life, young chiropractor who doesn't know anything. And there's this upper echelon chiropractor, the cream of the crop, the untouchable guy on the stage. And I was always intimidated. And I don't know why. It was all in my head. It was just like, it's all that monkey chatter in your own head. But I felt like every time I tried to approach somebody and ask them something, I got some kind of like cryptic answer. And then I would try to interpret it, bring it back into practice, and then it would fail miserably. And then I started to get like really beaten up. My confidence got beaten up. Then I come to realize that half the people that were saying things weren't even doing them in their practice. So that's even a downer. And then that's why I disconnected from a lot of you in chiropractic. I disconnected for many years, and it was just like the worst thing ever to disconnect. So that was my own personal perception of myself. So I feel that the turning point is when you start to gain some confidence. If you don't have confidence in your practice and you don't have confidence that you're doing it right, then it's really hard to build a practice. I don't know about everybody on the page here or everybody in the group, but I feel like that most of us are in a situation where we want to build our practices. I mean, people nod your heads so I can see head nod. Okay. I see some pictures and names. I don't see everybody's faces, but I'm sure people are nodding heads. All right. Who doesn't want to build their practice? Who wants to stay exactly the same as they are? I don't think anybody really says yes to that. Yeah, Dave says that he wants to stay exactly the same. But seriously, I feel like we all want to grow. You want to grow as a person. You want to grow in your practice. And it's not like you have to have any particular number or anything that you set your mind to, but growth can mean a lot of different things. Growth can mean new patients. Growth can mean maybe you're more involved in your practice in your town. You're growing in your town. You're a personality in your town. You're maybe participating more in your whatever it is for you. Maybe you're growing in a direction in your practice where you want to see more pediatrics, or you want to see more geriatrics, or whatever. This growth could be so many different things. But I feel like you have to be a version, your true, authentic version of yourself. Don't be afraid to be who you are. So, and like, I never feel like I'm the guy who can like, I'm going to give you advice, like I'm not that guy. I'm always the one who wants to take advice. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? But I've come to this point where I feel like, you know what? There are a couple of good things that are happening in my practice and in my life. I mean, really, really good things. And I've gotten them. They're all these little pieces I've gotten from so many different chiros along the years. And I'm starting to put them all together, and I'm creating this thing in I'm creating my own version of my practice, which is what everybody should do, is grab those little pearls of wisdom, grab those little pieces, those nuts and bolts. You put these things together. And then I came up with a couple of things. I go, so what do I feel like now that I can share with you that? And some of these things you might have heard already, but I wrote out a little list here. You don't mind if I go over this, John, do you? Okay. So the turning point with me, when I felt is when I felt confident that, yeah, I can do this, and I am doing this. I'm running this practice. I'm building a practice, and I'm earning money, and I'm paying for things, and I'm taking care of people, and I'm getting lots of referrals. People are referring to me more than they ever did before. And I'm like, but I was the same guy I was 5 years ago. I really wasn't the same guy. And I think that I think it's just the mind space, the mindset. It's your mindset. And part of that has to do with having the right mentor and being able to bump things off of that person. Okay. So if I can kind of go back to my conversations with Brian Lieberman, I had a conversation with him, I don't know, not too long ago. And we did a thing. It was like they asked me to speak on a DE Tuesday night. They have Tuesday night broadcast for DE. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to say? Like, what am I going to say? They want to hear what I have to say. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll just tell my sob story. And so I talked about my sob story about how bad things were, and then now things are good. I guess that inspires some people. I don't even like talking about that anymore because it's not even what I think I should focus on. But afterwards, he calls me up and he goes, you know something, man? He goes, I'm really proud of you, man. He goes, you know what? I actually didn't like talking to you. I really didn't even like talking to you. You would call me up and I'd be like, he goes, but now I like talking to you. And I'm like, oh, that's good. So it gave me a little bit of confidence and a good feeling when, your mentor says that to you after all these years. I didn't really like talking to you. And I'm like, fuck you. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Cancel delete. Anyway, so validation comes from when I ask him questions, but I already formulate the answer in my head of like, how am I going to answer this if somebody asked me that question? Because I ask a question in my head. What should I do about that? I come up with my answer. And I call him up. I go, hey, what should I do about that? And he gives me his answer. And I go, good, guess what? That's what I thought. Or that's what I was going to do. Or sometimes I just say, thanks, man, I love you. And I get off the phone and I realize I was going to do that anyway. So now I know that I feel like I'm on the right track because a successful guy said to do what I thought to do. So that must mean in logic that I might be successful. Wow, look at that. And then I wind up doing it and it works. So it's like funny. I trained martial arts for a long time, 25 years or so. And in studying the martial arts, it's a very old lineage. It's over 1,000 years old, and it comes from ancient Japan, from feudal era in Japan. And it was funny because some people would ask the teacher, this, how do you know that this technique works? And he'd say, well, when the technique didn't work, that person was killed. So whatever worked was passed down. And if it worked, it continued to work. So that's how you know it works, because they weren't killed. So it's the same thing in practice. If you're doing something and it's not working, don't do it. Don't continue to do it. Don't beat your head, trying to make something work that doesn't work. Here's a pearl of wisdom. Stop worrying about the small stuff. All right. See the bigger picture. What I mean by that is an insurance company shorts you. They don't pay for the visit. Or, I'm getting $17 a visit. So I don't even worry about that. I don't know about you guys, but I'm an out-of-network practitioner. I have a billing service that bills out of network. And I look at it and I say, hey, if they pay me, great. But if they don't, I really don't care. I'm not getting hung up on it. I don't really make that much money from insurance. I'm never going to be a slave to insurance, but what I rather do is make a fair and equitable fee with the patient so that when insurance, if and when they cut them off, they're comfortable on that fee. And I know it's a reasonable fee. I used to want to be the highest paid chiropractor in my town because one other mentor once said that, be the highest paid chiropractor in your town. Never felt right with me, but I did it. I charged a lot of money. And then I had some people actually pay it. But then when I was presented with the idea of, can you afford your own fee? And then I really said, no, I can't. And I wouldn't. Then I was incongruent with myself. And I think being congruent is another thing. Whatever you say in your practice and whatever you do, would you do that with your family? I mean, we've all heard this before. How I was talking to a young chiropractor, actually, he's older than me, 60s. And I think he's young because he's like fresh in practice kind of thing, or he's stalled in practice. He's really sucking wind. And the guy was upstate and a super nice guy, but really having a tough time. And I said, you put people on a care plan? He goes, no. I go, well, how do you know how often they should come in? He goes, well, they come in kind of when they decide to. I'm like, so the inmates are running the prison? I don't get that. Are you the doctor? Fred Barge, remember that? Are you the doctor? So I'm like, how are you, what are you saying? And he says, well, and I'm like, because I just tell them, subluxation. I go, yeah, but you're not educating them. So there's so many holes in this thing right here. This whole practice is a mess. But I said, got to start with, like, how often do you tell them, do you think they should come in? Well, I have a pamphlet. And my pamphlet says you should come in every 2 weeks for an adjustment. And the pamphlet says that, according to the research, blah, blah, blah. I go, so who wrote the pamphlet? He goes, I did. I go, okay, so let me ask you another question. How often are you getting adjusted? He goes, every week. So I said, okay, so why aren't you telling them to come every week? Why are you telling them to do something other than what you're doing? And he was afraid. He was afraid of rejection. He was afraid that they wouldn't do it. And it's a fear. It's fear that's seeped into this guy's soul. And he's being totally run by fear. He's afraid to tell the story. He's afraid to tell the patient what they need. He's afraid to be the doctor. So the fear is like another practice killer. That's a whole other thing. So the lack of money and the fear are like just absolute, get rid of that now. But I said, listen, man, you're coming in every week. He goes, well, now I can't tell them to come in every week because the pamphlet says every 2 weeks. I go, why don't you tell them to come in every week so that they don't get to the 2 week mark where they start having serious neurological degeneration that's permanent because of the research. Come in every week so you don't have to wait this 2 weeks. And he goes, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I'll try that. So there's that. There's own your craft. I'm really big about owning your craft. We're all chiropractors, right? How many of us have technique? I use a technique. I have an analysis. Do you have an analysis? Ask yourself this. You don't have to raise your hand if you don't want to, but ask yourself this. Do you have an analysis? Do you have a way of checking when not to adjust a patient? Because let me tell you, that is powerful. Most of the people I know that do that are upper cervical practitioners. Okay? But you're a full spine practitioner. You should be able to do that also. And I talked to a couple of guys at DE. I said, how do you know what's your analysis? They go, what do you mean? And I go, static palpation, motion palpation. I go, well, how do you know about the neurological component? Are you doing instrumentation? Are you doing leg checks? Because leg checks are a neurological check, in case you hadn't known that. And people don't necessarily understand that. But there's so many ways to check for neurology, to check to see if a patient has a subluxation. And then these people have said, well, this is what I do. And I go, how do you know when not to adjust somebody? And they don't. So that means, when you're on the table talk and a patient asks you, do you think if I come every day? See, I get this question. I don't know about you guys, but I get this question. And this is the thing I like also, is when people validate that I'm a real person in a real practice, because I know I have these people saying the same thing. I bet all of you have the same people saying the same thing. Hey, if I came every day, is that too much? Is it too often? If I come 3 times a week, that's too often. I get over chiropractic, do I get over adjusted? And I love and I hate that question, but I love the question because it's a person thinking. But then the answer is, hey, listen, you could come every day to get checked. Doesn't mean you're going to get adjusted every day. And how do I know? Because your body has indicators that tell me whether or not you're subluxated. And that's simple. So it's an education tool. So if you have an analysis and you do a technique, then you have an education tool that I can't tell you how often, and Dr. John introduced me and said that I do Thompson technique, and I do, but I can't tell you how often I use the neurology, and it sounds crazy, but I use the neurology of the dentate ligament cord distortion theory, the subluxation in the cervical spine, to explain to people on the table and in front. I have an open room concept. That's another thing. Have an open room. You'll see more people. With an open room concept, and I'm talking about neurology, but I break it down easy. I was just doing it today, and I had a group of people standing around. We're looking at the nerve chart, and we're talking about this, and they're fascinated with this stuff. And it just means like, I know my shit. I know my craft. I know why I do what I do, and I own it with confidence. If you don't own it, you'll never have a busy, successful practice. You got to own your stuff. You got to know what you're saying, know why you're doing what you're doing. Big thing for me. Know why you're doing what you're doing. Open room concept. I mean, look, I feel like, and we've had certain discussions before at like, what do we call that? Our district meetings. Everybody has a different viewpoint on what they consider volume, right? Volume. Some people see 1,000 a week. Some people see 100 a week. Depends on what you're comfortable seeing. And I don't think it's an issue of how many people you're seeing. I think you have to see what you're capable of seeing and what you want to see. But I think that we should all, like, what I do personally is I know how I work. I know how I adjust. So if you're doing like a special adjustment that can take 20 minutes, that's fine. If you have an analysis and you have to do pre and post, there's no problem with that. But then figure out, like, I feel like, and I keep saying I feel because this is my feeling, feel like there's a lot of job security in seeing a lot of people. Okay. And my reason for saying that is because when COVID hit, a lot of us took a hit, and our patients, especially like all the Medicare people, were gone from my practice. And that was like 30% of people. I didn't realize I had that many people in Medicare. So when I took that hit, volume wise, I wasn't seeing that many people. I might have been seeing 150 people a week. So losing about 30%, I was like at 100 a week, and I was stressing, man. I was really stressing because I don't do a lot. I don't do therapies. I don't do any other adjunctive things to the adjustment. I just do straight chiropractic adjusting. And if I'm going to bill out, I only bill out for the 98940. I don't even bill out for 41 or 42, because I just don't want to have any kind of red flags and overutilize and all that nonsense. So I really make most of my income comes from over the counter with the patient. But it was a real like wake up call. I thought, I better see more people, because if this ever happens again, I don't want to have this insecurity and then this loss of income. I don't know. It's just, so I feel like I pray every morning. I prepare. One of the things I do is I prepare my day. I don't know how you guys start your shift or what you do to start a shift, but I prepare my shift. Every shift, I sit down, and me personally, I'm a spiritual guy. I believe strongly in God, and I believe in Christ, and I believe in the power that made the body is the power that heals the body. I say this to people all the time. I make sure. I actually used to be afraid of saying that in the past, and that was that fear of rejection. And the first thing I do is like when I'm preparing for my shift, is I always focus on, and I pray and I give thanks, and I pray I pray a prayer of thanks for the people around me. Lisa is my support here. My family, friends, parents, everybody who's involved, all my patients, I pray for them, like just thankful that I get to be a chiropractor and I get to have the opportunity to adjust people and to share in what I consider God's greatest healing profession, which is chiropractic. And for me, I also ask him, I look at my office and I say, this is your office, and I'm blessed to be the chiropractor working in the office here in this Kings Park location. This is your office, and I'm your servant, and I get to serve these people with my hands, and I get to show them and help them connect back to you. And so, like, it was just mind blowing the other day. Somebody was on the table on Good Friday, and I was adjusting them, and they were just kind of squirrely, and they're like worried about their healing process. They're getting worried about, my numbness in my arm isn't, it's been a few weeks, it's not going away. And then, there's the old, well, that's why you're on a care plan. I got that answer. And that's why you're here. And, well, if you weren't getting adjusted, imagine how worse it would be. So those are like the rote memorization answers. And then I was thinking about something. I said, man, do you realize, like, think about what you're saying about your arm. And I said, do you believe that you were created with the power of God? God gave you life, and life is what heals you. And they go, yeah. And I go, do you realize that on this day, 2,000 years ago, like literally Christ was crucified, his body was broken and he was crucified. And the power that made, he was fully human, and the power that made him is the same power that made you. It's the same power. But I said, he was able to restore his body 100%, and he was able to resurrect and bring his body back to complete health. And you don't think you have a little bit of that power in you that you can actually bring your body to health? I go, think about what you're saying. Think about that. And it was just so profound, and it was just like, they were like, wow, yeah, that's like, wow, okay. And it was just a cool thing because it really had an impact. And then somebody else was asking about how come my sciatica is still going? I go, listen, you know what? How long has it been? A few weeks. And I go, yeah. So I said, did you ever pray for anything? I go, sure, I pray all the time. I go, did God answer you like that? Did he answer you right away? Or does he answer you in his time? She says, he always answers, but on his time. And I go, so, it's the same power that made the body that heals the body. She goes, I get it. So healing is on his time. I go, so Dr. Rick, what's up?
Hey there.
So anyway, a couple other things I wrote down. Are we going too long, or I got a couple other things?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
You're good.
So these are some things like my headspace is I give glory back. I pray, I prepare. I say, God, please send me all the people that you think I can possibly take care of. All the people that's physically, humanly possible for me to take care of. And don't send me any of the people that I can't help. Don't send the people I can't help. Only send the ones that I can. And that way I know that everybody that comes in, I know I can help them. So I'm 100% confident that I can help every single one because they're being sent by him. My x-ray machine crapped out the other day. And I basically, the button wasn't working in the middle of taking an x-ray. And I'm like, what the heck am I going to do now? And I look up and I go, dude, you don't have broken stuff in your practice, do you? And all of a sudden it started working. I swear. The button started working and I'm like, there it is. Don't nickel and dime people, just serve them. Don't get caught up in the small stuff. Dr. Sid said, don't sweat the small stuff. Also, don't let the bastards grind you down. There's always some attorney paperwork that shows up, or somebody needs this notes, or somebody needs that, or you might get called in to appear somewhere to testify. Don't let that stuff grind you down. You might have a patient leave you. Guess what? They're all going to leave you eventually. So what? Some will, some won't. So what? Like, just love them. Just love them, serve them, love them when they come back. Let me tell you something. When you love them on the way out, they're there. Like, I just saw a guy tonight that I haven't seen since December, and his name is George. And I'm like, yo, George, what's up? Like, his head, like his face, I knew his name, And I'm like, George, he's like, hey, what's up? He goes, oh man, I need to be here. I'm like, welcome back, man. Glad you're here. Welcome home. Glad to see you're back. Visualize the people that you haven't seen in a while. Gosh, visualization. Who prints out a what do you call that? An aging list. The people who haven't been here in the last 6 months, and just sit down when you have a little downtime. Sit down and look at every name and try to remember that person. Let me tell you, you'll manifest these people. They'll come in because you're connecting with them on a spiritual level. You're connecting them on a universal principle level, and they will come. I think last January we had. And I'm ashamed to say we had like a list of like 200 people that weren't in, and 16 people showed up just from visualizing in January. And I was like, this is crazy. Why don't I do this all the time? And I keep forgetting. Love them and welcome them back. Don't take too long to adjust somebody. If you're a full spine practitioner, just adjust them. Okay. If you're doing anything else, you're not doing chiropractic. Just do the adjustment. Serve more people. Serve to the best of your human capability. If you have a goal and you have a number in mind, you'd like to see 500 a week, you'd like to see 600, whatever that number is, then figure out how to logistically run it. How many people an hour is your best hour, and then multiply it by how many hours you work adjusting people. And then that's your goal. Figure that out. And if you don't see that many people an hour, figure out how you can. I went from rooms to open room. I can see a lot more people in an open room. It's insane. And the funny thing is you can set a record. We like the other day, it was crazy. We were adjusting and it felt slow. It felt kind of slow. And I had a lot of downtime and I was looking over a list of people and I was in my office, texting and looking at things. I hate to say it. I was searching Facebook. Don't do that. But I did it and I was like, oh man, it's like pretty slow day and this and that. It wound up, we had 117 people and 5 new patients that day. And I worked 5 hours in the office. So it was like 2 in the morning and 3 in the evening. So it was a killer day and it felt like it was slow. And then the slow days, I feel really busy. And I'm like, what happened? That was crazy. So it's all in your head. It's all in your head, all that nonsense. Adapt to the changes. Oh yeah, adapt to the changes that happen by the hour. So we didn't have anybody on the books, and then we had 5 new patients in the evening, and we were going insane because 3 people showed up at the same time, and it was like, how do I adjust people and have an X-ray and an exam room, and so literally, like Lisa and I are this weird kind of team where we're just like, cool, man, like we got this, no big deal, everything's good. Don't make anybody feel bad for coming in early. There's the guy was sitting here. I was doing a consultation or whatever in the exam room. I adjust some people. She was doing a consultation at the front desk because there was nobody here walking in at that moment. She was able to ask them questions. Then we shift them into the back and we just kind of round robin rotate on the table in the exam room at the front desk. And it was just kind of funny. And at the end of the night, we high five and we're like, what the hell just happened? We just like figured that out. And it was just, so get cool with your team. Make sure they're on board with you, man. Ask for Google reviews. If you want to build your practice, you got to get Google reviews. Look at your when you go to Google and you look your practice up, you'll see how many Google reviews you have. People read those things. I can't tell you how great of a referral source Google reviews are because I ask everybody, so how'd you find me? Well, somebody told me about you, but I really like the Google reviews, especially the one with the person that had sleep apnea. And I'm like, so collect Google reviews. I have a great way to do it. Here's a pearl of wisdom. Here's a little thing. It's called a Google card, and it's an NFT or whatever they call that. There's a chip in the card. You wave it under the phone, and it pops right up to Google, so you don't have to go searching around for it. Make things easy. Make your practice easy. I love saying this. This is my motto, and I even tell new patients, I go, listen, my motto is to make this practice as easy as possible for you to stay and for you to pay and just come in here. Like, I want you to be able to afford my care. I don't want you to be stuck with a big bill. So I go, here's how we do it. Here's how we make it easy. I want you to come in here, and I want it to be easy for you to come in here. So you can come in. I want you here, let's say twice a week, 3 days, whatever the care plan is. I don't care what time you come that day. Just walk in, just come in. I want it to be easy. And I want to make sure that the flow is continuous here in the office. So make it easy. Pay by the month. Don't pay every time you come because then you have to stop at the front desk. It takes some time. Lisa might be busy, this and that. We put it, hey, what's even easier? Let's put it on auto debit. Hey, that's even, I'll save you some money. You do auto debit, that's even great. And so then what happens is everybody's on auto debit. And then what I do is I get job security because on a Saturday morning or whatever it is, or a Monday morning, I'll wake up and my bank account is full because auto debit's hit. And if that person doesn't come in, I know they're still getting their money's worth because what they're paying versus what they're getting, I'm always giving above and beyond what the value is. I'm always giving more value for my service. Always overvalue your service. Let's see, reviews. Don't be afraid to see people. People like to eat at a busy restaurant. Keep focused on the principle of chiropractic. In the ROF, I don't know if you do a group ROF or if you're doing an individual. Right now I'm doing individuals. They tend to work for me with the way I'm running things. But people need to hear the truth. They need to hear that life is what heals them. It's such a simple concept. And when you say this, they start doing this. They start nodding their head like, yeah, I get that. Life is the concept. Life is what heals. Even D.D. Palmer said this. He said, when you remove life from the body, it begins to decay immediately. That's when breakdown happens immediately. And you'll go into rigor mortis. You get the lividity, rigor mortis. Everything sets in upon death. And then you'll stink. You start to smell bad. like it just is a law of nature. It's a universal force. There's no more innate force in that body. So if I adjust you as a dead person, nothing's going to happen. So you need the life in your body to be able to heal. And I have to adjust to clear the pathway of life. When you speak life into these people, they've never heard that before. They haven't heard that from any other healthcare professional ever, ever. There's no acupuncturist, there's no massage therapist, there's no Reiki healer that's speaking life into their body. And we're physically removing interference, and we're showing them instantly. Healing happens instantly as soon as you make that adjustment. There's instant healing, and I know that's true because I instantly see a change in the leg check, and that's my indicator that the neurology is clear. When the neurology is clear, the flow is open. When the floodgates are open, anything happens because the power that made the body is what heals the body. These people don't know. They're being lied to by their medical doctors. They're being lied to all the time. They don't even know what innate intelligence is. They don't even know how to trust it. They can't even trust the fact that they have this healing power in their body. So you got to build them up, constantly build them up on the table, build them up in the ROF, get excited about it, get passionate about it. I get chills talking about it. I'm chills talking about it now because I love talking about this. And I love the fact that in an open room concept, it all comes together. An open room, everybody's listening and people are chiming in and people are asking questions. And it's just like a big conversation. It's one big 5-hour conversation working in my office. And it's just like people take their shifts, person comes in, person leaves. So it's like shifts. The new shift came in, but we're all talking about the same conversation all day. So it's kind of an interesting thing. Just keep in mind also when patients come in, they're in a pain model. We're in a chiro mindset. So you got pain, chiro mindset, and these are like, right? You can't, bridging that gap is that's the beauty of communication in chiropractic. That's the beauty of bringing them along. And you have to understand where they're at, psychologically. So you can't necessarily vomit this stuff on top of them on the first visit because they're never going to get it. They don't even hear half the things you say on the first visit. They just want to be helped. So I would say that's the trick in communication is trying to blend the gap, understand where they're at, meet them where they're at, and then hold their hand and bring them along with you. And as you table talk these things, and as you constantly, you create a care plan so that they're there because it takes time. And how many chiropractors did it take to go through chiropractic school who still don't get the principle of chiropractic, right? So when you think about that, you got people who they don't even know if chiropractic can help them. They've never had an adjustment before. So that's something to consider. And never take it personally when somebody leaves your practice, okay? Don't take it personally. Somebody will leave your practice. They're going to leave eventually for whatever reason. But what I always do is I always reflect back at what's the reason why they left and what could I have done different? And it still happens where people will leave. I've had somebody call me up. She texted me today. She's like, I'm going to try. She's what she says to me. I'm going to try PT because it's a more comprehensive approach. I was like, oof, oh man. I'm like, that hurt, and I'm like, a more comprehensive approach. And, I got to love her. And I just say, hey, listen, Judy, this is why we have a care plan. It's why I created a care plan for you. And it would have been great if you had gone through your entire care plan so we can actually see the results your body's going to get. However, and she goes, I'm going to come back. I just need to do this right now. And I go, that's fine. I go, I love you either way. You're always welcome back here. We'll have the table ready for you. So no matter how much it hurt, I got to remove my ego out of the way and make sure I just love on her and let her know everything's okay. And she'll be back. And that's basically it. So I don't know if there's a lot. I just threw a lot out there. I think we talked for a little while. I don't want to over talk, but
it was great stuff, Mike.
Yeah.
Really good, really good.
Anything you want to ask or add or anything, let me know.
Nuts and bolts. And I got to tell you, I'm very impressed with the way you have changed your practice and everything else. And I love your energy.
Thanks, man.
Anybody else? I know Gary might have to say something. Anybody else? Rick, unmute yourself. Jeff as well.
Well, Mike, I think you hit on it right on the head with your journey. The key thing is to show up.
Yeah.
You get on an island, and that's where a lot of our colleagues are that are not constructive for our image and our reputation as doctors of chiropractic. And we need to keep showing up. I don't think I've missed more than a few of these calls since John started doing them years ago, and I'm in Pennsylvania. So
Wow. Nice.
I'm here, and I appreciate you being here and taking your time, because you could be doing something else as well. And it's great to have you on board, and great to have you share with us.
Thanks, man. Nice to meet you, Jeff.
Just want to point out one thing. Jeff, congratulations on your fellowship from the ICA. You earned it,
Nice.
buddy.
Congrats.
Appreciate
Cool.
it. Thank you.
Michael, Rick here. How are you?
Rick, what's happening, baby?
I just want to tell you, I've seen your path. I know your path. And I have to tell you, I'm so proud of you at so many of the steps along the way. And, you just keep going up higher and higher up the mountain. And, as you get up there, your light is shining brighter, and you're getting higher and higher up that mountain. And, you're going to be noticed by more and more people, and you're helping more and more people, both, with DC degrees and without DC degrees. I'm just, really, really proud of you and proud to know you.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate that, brother.
Mike,
So Mike, can we get like little those bullet points from your notes? Because you presented everything we've heard, we know, but I'd love to have it outlined to go, yeah, I got to do this, because the universal phone calls, I love those.
Yeah.
I might just do that more often. But it's amazing
right?
how powerful it is, man. You just look at lists of people's names, and you think and pray about them, and they're calling you within a few days. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I have it on my notes. What I'll do is I'll send it out. I'll send it to you.
That'd be awesome.
I'll text it to you.
Thank you.
And Mike, a fun one on that I used to do years ago. We'd sit down at a staff meeting, and we would actually concept our new patients coming in the next week. Male, female, how old, how many children, what their presenting issue was. And we would actually really solidify who we're expecting. And you know what? I would say 80% of the time, those people walked in, because we as a group, we decided who was coming in. And that was just mind blowing, week after week after week.
There was, we had the council had a lyceum up in Buffalo, actually in Niagara Falls a couple weeks back. And they had a guest speaker who was actually really good. I never heard of her before, Christine Zapata. You guys ever hear of her?
Yeah.
And she co-wrote a book, but she did something like that too, Rick. What she was doing, she calls it like making your patient avatar. And who's the perfect ideal patient. And for her, she's in Seattle, Washington, right? So she's in the city, and she's like, my perfect avatar patient is a 35-year-old woman who works in IT, and she has a cat, and she drinks coffee in the morning. She likes to go to happy hour on Thursdays and Fridays, and she lives in the high rise, and she went through this whole thing. And then what she did with that, though, is she created a meetup, and these groups, like there are all these yuppies that do meetups, and she'd create a meetup for this particular group of people. So now she has 20 or 30 women who are all in IT that are exactly her, her avatar, and they're all meeting at a bar. It's wellness happy. So everybody goes and meets at the bar for social hour. But then what she does is she donates $1 for every drink that's purchased to a charity. And then people get to know her because she scheduled the meetup. And they're like, oh, who's this Christine? Oh, she's a chiropractor. Oh, and then so-and-so, and then it just builds. So it's like an indirect way of creating your patient. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's a great idea. Then she'll do another thing where she's like, here's $100. I put $100 at Starbucks in Comac. The first people to use up the $100, you go there and it's on Dr. Christine's tab, and she'll post it on social media. So now what she's doing is sending people to a place or wherever, cafe, whatever it is. And she's putting $100 down and saying, when they say they mentioned it from this social media ad, you take it off my tab. And then that's another marketing strategy. I thought it was brilliant from her. Anyway.
There's lots of ways to build it. Lots of ways to build it.
Yeah, it's really good stuff.
Does anybody have any final questions for Mike?
no questions, comments. Shred, thanks, brother. Love spending time with you. Love the energy, and just love watching this journey you've been on. And it's really cool to see that how quickly things can change.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's and obviously you need some credit here too for part of the inner circle of helping me stay alive, man. I mean, really. So
Love you.
I love you too, brother. That's the whole band of brothers, right?
That's right.
All right, guys. I wish
Awesome.
everybody a great night. Thanks for doing this tonight, Mike.
Thanks,
And
Fred.
we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
All righty.
Everybody have a
Thanks,
great night.
Johnny.
Mike, thank Johnny.
Thanks, Mike.
Take care,
Thank you
everyone.
so
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.